Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays here on The Pagan Perspective, and this week we are talking about our thoughts on gift giving. The topic comes from Yucca. So when I think of what people think about gift giving, the first thing I think of are the 5 love languages, which are something that I found out about a few years ago. I'll put a link in the description to the website because there is a quiz that you take. And basically, you get to find out what your personal love languages are. And what that means is it's this system that some people developed. There are 5 big main categories of ways that we express love, but not just romantic love, but friendship and appreciation, things like that. And so the quiz is asking you a bunch of questions, a bunch of either or questions like, would you rather someone did this or did this? Or like, if someone did this or if someone did this, which one would you feel more loved if that occurred? And it asks you in all different kinds of combinations so that it figures out an order of which ones you score the highest on, which means you tend to really express and also receive love really well in that way, that if someone expresses it that way to you, you receive it clearly as, yes, this is love, this is appreciation, and the things that you express to other people that way. And so one of the reasons that I think of this, oh, actually, I do want to say, if you do take that quiz, there's 2 options. You can do it as a person in a relationship, or you can do it as a single person. I recommend that even if you are in a relationship, take the quiz as a single person, because the way that it's worded, when I first took the quiz and I was in a relationship at the time, I found that I was answering the questions only in relation to that particular relationship that I had with that partner. And everybody's different, so I found that when I retook the quiz as a single person, the way that the questions are asked is just slightly different. So it really took me out of just like answering it as me and this person that I'm in a romantic relationship with at the time. And it really opened it up more to like, how do I express love with the world in general, with people, friends, people that I admire, people I look up to, family, coworkers, all this kind of stuff. So that's what I recommend. If you take the quiz, do it as the single, and I think that it just helps, I think that it just helps open it up more. So the reason that I think of this is because one of the 5 love languages is gifts, and that refers to receiving and giving gifts, and whether that is something that we really resonate with as a form of expression of love or appreciation or friendship or whatever the case may be. I personally, out of the 5, it ranks them. They each have their own score, but they're also ranked. Out of the 5, I score the lowest on gifts. Even when I took it as a single person, when I did that version, I scored a little bit higher on gifts than I did with the relationship version, because gift giving specifically in that relationship at the time that I took it was not a thing. It was not a good thing for me. So I scored a lot lower on it because I was only thinking of it in those terms, and I was like, nope, giving and receiving gifts, not what I want. But when I took it in general, it made me realize, like, I do like giving gifts and I do like receiving gifts. It just has to be done in a certain way for me. So I think that a lot of the way a person feels about gift giving, whether giving or receiving gifts, has a lot to do with their thoughts about money and their relationship with money. So as a person who grew up in a household where we didn't have a lot of extra money just lying around that we could blow on stuff, I grew up having a lot of respect and value, personal value, for things that are less expensive but still incredibly meaningful, and specifically for handmade things. It's where my love of thrift stores came from, secondhand stores, resale shops, stuff like that, because out of necessity for our budget, we would go to those places, and that's why I now know how great they are, and I still get a lot of my things from those types of places. I also know it's kind of hard to communicate, because I don't want to just sound absolutely horrified by money, because I'm not. And I think money is a gift. Money is something that helps us do what we need to do in this world, because we do live in a capitalist society. We depend on money, and I think it is important to have a good relationship with money, and that's why I personally have been working for the past few years on improving my relationship with money and its role in my life. So I'm not trying to be like money is evil, because I don't think it is. I think money is beautiful, and it enables us to do wonderful things with it. It just depends on how you use it, right? Money is a tool, just like magic. So, however, I do know a lot of people throughout my life who are the types of people who just value high-ticket items. And so there are people I know who, if you were to give them a gift and they could look at it and tell that you got it at the dollar store, or tell that you got it at some particular store that they don't like, they would immediately not like the gift. Even if it's something, the item is something perfect for them that you know they love, if they look at it and can tell that it's cheap, then they just think you're cheap, and that's it. You should have gone for the $100 version, because the amount of dollars you spent on it is directly in relation to the amount of love you have for them. I know people like that. I am not one of those people, and it's very difficult for me giving and receiving gifts with those types of people. And it's also difficult for me giving and receiving gifts with people who do have a lot of money already at their disposal, because those people are very free with their money and with their gifts. And, well, some of them are. Some of them absolutely are not. But I know some people who have a lot of money and are very free with it in giving gifts. And, you know, if it's a basic gift that they're giving you, and they could get you a $5 version at the store, or they could get you a $20 version at the mall, or they could get you a $60 version that's designer, they'll get you the $60 designer version just because they can and because they think you deserve it. But if you're someone like me, sometimes, and again, this is something that I'm working on, if you're someone like me, or how I've been throughout most of my life, you would look at that and say, why did you waste $55? You could have gotten me the $5 version of this same thing. I didn't need the $60 version. It means the same thing to me no matter what. It's the same product, basically. Like, you didn't need to spend an extra $55 on that label. You could have bought groceries with that. You know? Like, if you don't have money to spend, you need enough to pay your bills, you need enough to buy food, you need enough to, you know, necessities. That almost feels like an insult to some people who don't have a lot of money. Like, why? Like, why did you waste so much money? That's how it feels, right? Like, they don't think they're wasting money. They think they're giving you something fantastic because they love you and it's what you deserve. You're such a great person. They want to give you this gift, and they have the ability to do it. It's coming from a great place. But a lot of my life, I have lived in a place where that feels wasteful, and it just makes me think a couple things. It makes me think, you know, if I had that money, it would have had to go toward food or something similar to that. Or it makes me think, oh great, now the thing that I got you costs $5, and you're gonna think that I'm cheap and don't love you as much, or, you know, how am I ever gonna be able to pay you back, kind of thing. And so for a long time, I've been really uncomfortable with receiving expensive gifts. And it's not like it's happened a lot. I don't know a lot of people who have that kind of money, but that's the kind of thing in the past that I think made my love languages result for gifts go way down. I was gonna whistle there, but my lips are dry, so that didn't work out, but that's okay. There we go. way down. And when I opened it up and thought about it as more like, okay, in the universe, like, what about not just expensive gifts, but what about gifts in general? What about maybe things that didn't cost you anything, things that you made, really inexpensive things? Yeah, I do like giving and receiving gifts. I think that it can be really fun, and it can be a nice way to show someone that you appreciate them. But there are many ways to do that, and that's why out of the 5 love languages, gifts are still my lowest score. The other ones are things like spending quality time, physical touch, such as giving someone a hug, holding their hand, pat on the shoulder, something like that. There's also, I forget what this one is actually called, but it's basically like doing nice things for someone. So it might be like, you know, would you like me to do your dishes for you? Or would you like me to pick up your prescription at the pharmacy? You know, just like doing little like actions. People actually doing things for you instead of just getting you things. And then there's also, I think it's called words of affirmation, which is the actual verbal expression of love. Saying, I love you, or saying, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for that. What you do for me means the world to me. Stuff like that. Some people, you could buy them the most expensive gifts in the world, or get them a different gift every day and do all these things for them. But if you don't say, I love you, they don't read that. So people who score really high on the words, words of affirmation, the verbal one, that's really what they need. Other people, like me, my highest score, I believe both times I took the test, is quality time. More than anything, I just like spending time with people. And so people can tell me how much they love me as much as they want. But if we never get to see each other, I don't feel it as much, you know? So that's just me. It's different for everybody. But I think, yeah, if you want to take the love languages quiz, I think it's a really great way to have conversations with people who maybe you are having relationships with, or also just your friends. Like, I made a bunch of my friends take it when I first found out about it. And I realized that a lot of my best friends who I get along really well with, and I feel like I know and understand that they love me even when I don't get to see them all the time, for example, they all have the same love language as I do. Like, they scored the highest on the same ones. So I was like, that makes sense. Like, that makes sense as to why we get along so well with each other, and we know how important we are to each other, even though we don't necessarily say it. Maybe we don't get to, you know, talk very often or whatever, but it's a lasting effect because we both express love in the same way and receive it in the same way. So it's like we read each other loud and clear on that. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, so I know people for whom it's very money-based, and I don't agree with that just in general. I think even if I did have the money to spend, I might really appreciate finally being able to give some people some things that I know they would love, that I would just love to be able to get them, but I don't have the money to do it. But it's also something that I feel like I will always still value practical gifts more, and homemade gifts. I love DIY things, and obviously, I mean, I do a ton of it myself, but yeah, the kinds of gifts that I love that I've received, I have a short list of them here, but I don't really want to name every single one because I know me and that'll take too long. But the kinds of gifts that I love to receive, like looking at this list of gifts that I've received in the past year or so that are really like stand out in my memory as like, oh yeah, I got that gift and that's really nice. Like, I really love that gift. They're all things that really, to me, said, not only did that person see that item and think of me, so it means that they thought of me and they wanted to get something and actually spend a few dollars of their money, which could have gone to something else, to get me this thing and give it to me. But they also say to me that that person understands who I am as a person, They understand what I like. They understand what I want and what I need. They understand what kinds of gifts would seem unnecessary to me. That's something that I'm not actually gonna use, and, you know, not to get me something like that. And it also says to me that they listen to me and that they pay attention to what I say, and that my opinions and my desires are important to them and are things that are memorable to them, that it's something worthy of remembering. Because a lot of the items that I thought of on this list from various people, friends online, a couple of my friends right here on the Pagan Perspective team who have given me gifts, friends from college, my partner and my partner's parents, my brother, other family members, my cousins, my mom. I mean, my mom gives me gifts all the time, but you know, all these other people. The things that these gifts really have in common are those things I just said, that they are things that really just speak to who I am, and the fact that the people who gave me the gifts understand who I am and remembered something that I said I wanted. So I also know people who will not, no matter what, they will not get you a gift that you have said you wanted, because they care about the surprise factor. So they don't want to get you, like if you make a list, you know, like the traditional Christmas list that we think of that kids make, write down what you want from Santa. It's coming up on that holiday season here, so even though I am a winter solstice celebrant, I think a lot of us understand the concept of the little kid writing down the list for Santa of what I want for Christmas. What is that list for? It's so the parents know, Santa, it's so Santa knows what you want. So Santa can get you what you want and not what you don't want. That's what that concept is about. But I know some people who, even if you put a list together and say, this is what I really want, they will purposely not get you anything on that list, because then you're expecting it. And they don't want you to expect it. They want you to get they want to get you something totally unexpected that is going to be a surprise. But I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like, it's not that I don't like surprises, but I don't like when people will ignore what you want just because they want to surprise you, because it's important to them to surprise you. Because a lot of the time, those people have given me things that I don't like. And it's unfortunate. But then you have to be like, oh, thanks. You know, like the little kid with the avocado. Except that I love avocado, so I'd be totally pumped about that. Oh, an avocado, thanks. You know. But yeah, so it's like, you have to pretend to love things that you don't like, and you're just like, why did you get me this? I don't want this. Especially if they then spend a bunch of money on it. Like, why did you spend a bunch of money on this? I don't like this. I don't want this. It's going to sit around and do nothing, or I'm probably going to give it to somebody else. You could have just gotten me 3 of the things on the list I actually wanted. Like, then it just feels like, do you not care what I want? It's very complicated, right? There's all these emotions involved, and then you're like, what are your motives? Who do you think I am? You know, it's a very existential crisis kind of thing happening when people refuse to get you what you want. So, yeah, I know a lot of people who are just weird about gift giving in different ways. But then there's like, I also know people who will just constantly give you little gifts, but they're things that they know you love. Like, I worked with a woman at a community theater for years who is still a great friend of mine. I just don't work with her right now because I'm not doing theater stuff anymore right now at the moment. But she knows I love crystals, and she happens to have a huge collection of crystals that she has accumulated over decades and decades of her life. So, like, every show that I did with her, she would give me my stage manager gifts at the end of the show. I mean, like a card, or like one time she gave me a bottle of wine, little things here and there. But almost always she gives me a crystal or some kind of crystal jewelry from her own collection. So I know she's not going out and spending money on it, but it's something that she's going and looking through her collection and saying, okay, this piece needs a new home with Kara. This belongs to Kara now. And so I love things like that, because it's just like, it's something she already had and decided to rehome it with me. And that means a lot, especially, you know, as a person who loves crystals, and I'm also trying to cut down on a bunch of stuff. I have a lot of things that I love and that I highly value, but I understand that I have too much of it or too many of them, and I don't possibly need all of it. And so I have been working on ways to gift things, cut down on things, give things away, sell things. Yeah, just to kind of share the love, donate things. I took a bunch of stuff to a workshop a couple months ago. When was that? I don't remember. A couple months ago, my partner and I went to a workshop, and I brought a bunch of stuff that I had that I knew would be supplies that people could use. And these were things like candles. I have a huge collection of candles, and some of them were so cool. I'm the kind of person who would never burn them because they just look so cool. But I'm to the point in my life where I'm like, why do I have a box full of candles that I don't burn just because they're pretty and I don't want to burn them? This is ridiculous. So I took them and I told people, please take them. If you like them, take them, use them, actually burn them, because I won't. Just please do it. And I got rid of so much of my stuff that way. And I just felt so good about it because it meant that now those people have new things to use in their practice that they got for free. And I was able to declutter. It just feels good. So it feels good for me, decluttering, but also knowing that they're the items that I've just been hoarding for years that I was never going to do anything with. They have a new home and they have a new purpose, and they're going to be used to create magic in the world. And that means so much to me, right? So the kinds of gifts that I love to receive are gifts that mean you know who I am and you've listened to me. And the kinds of gifts that I like to give also mean that. One of the examples I wrote down is that I made my brother a winter hat last year. I went out and bought a really bulky yarn and crocheted my brother a big old hat with a pom-pom on it. And I made it extra long so that he can fold up the brim for extra thick brim and wear it like close to the head like this one is. Or he could unfold the brim and wear it further back on his head like a big slouchy hat with a pom-pom on it, because I thought that would be adorable. And my brother works outdoors, and especially in the wintertime, it's cold. And he made the mistake of telling my mother and I last year that he didn't have a good winter coat and he didn't have a hat. And we were like, you're working outside in the middle of winter in the cold. What? So my mom bought him a winter coat and I made him a hat. That's the kind of stuff I like to do. You know, I'm just like, oh, you said you need this. I happen to make this. I really enjoy making it. Here you go. And that's the kind of stuff I like to do. It means something. It's useful. It didn't cost me a lot. You know, that's the kind of stuff I like to do. So that's what I think about gift giving in a nutshell. And I do think that it can be a very complicated thing because, again, I think it's related to our relationship with money. But yeah, check out the 5 love languages. Let me know how important gift giving and receiving is to you in understanding whether or not someone loves you and the ways that you are able to express love. Because I do think it also depends on the person. For example, I just thought of this now. I should have mentioned it earlier. But I know some people for who, like, so I'm a very verbal processor. You all know this. It's why I make really long videos. But words of affirmation is not actually my top love language. I think I already said this earlier that mine is quality time. But there are some people that I've known throughout the past who, for example, like in the theater, we get everyone in the habit of saying thank you all the time. Because everyone is working their butts off, doing everything, and you might not know exactly what that person's job is, but without everyone in a theatrical team and on a crew doing their job, the show does not happen. So we get in the habit of saying thank you for everything, every little thing. And some people might be like, why are you thanking me? It's just my job. Or like, we're thanking you because you're doing a great job. You know, it's important to say thank you. So there are some people who I knew several years ago, who I would always say thank you. It's a habit for me from theater, but whenever they would do something for me, I would say thank you. And I was always telling them how much I appreciated what they were doing and, you know, all this kind of thing. Well, then some time would go by and someone else who knew us would say, hey, by the way, you might want to thank them for that thing that they did because they mentioned to me that you never thanked them. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course I thanked them. I thank them profusely all the time. But I was like, all right, I'll say it again, I guess. Make sure, like, maybe I didn't. Maybe something weird happened and I forgot to say it, so I'll make sure I say it. So, like, the next time we had dinner together, I was like, by the way, I just really wanted to thank you guys for helping me out back then when you did that thing. Like, I really appreciated that. The next year, I hear from this friend again, like, you know, yeah, they're really mad at you because they think that you're not appreciative and you haven't said thank you for anything they've done. And I was like, what? You know, at this point, it's like, what are you talking about? So then I got the idea. I was like, should I write them a thank you card so that they have a physical object so they can see that I definitely thanked them? Like, are they just forgetting? So what I ended up doing was buying them gifts because I thought, okay, these people do not receive thanks and appreciation and love and gratitude. They're not getting it verbally. It's not happening for them. So they need something different. So I ended up getting them gifts, personalized gifts that I thought were perfect for each of them with a thank you card. So I was like, surely when they see this physical item, they will remember that I said thank you. And I haven't heard anything about it since, so apparently it worked. So I do believe that it is different for people, not only the way that we want to express gifts and the way that we receive gifts, but like gifts isn't a very big one for me, but if it is for someone else, then I have to be able to kind of adjust to that because other people might not resonate to, oh, let's just spend some time together. You know, they're like, no, we don't really need to spend time together. Like, just give me a hug when you see me and we're good to go. You know, like, whatever. It's different for everybody. So yeah, those are my thoughts. It just has to be really meaningful and heartfelt to me and in a way that doesn't make people feel obligated in any way, that doesn't make people feel guilty about the amount of money that is being spent or whether or not they can replicate and reciprocate the same amount of money that you gave them for them to give you, you know, anything like that, because I don't think there should ever be any kind of guilt or obligation around gift giving. I think that that spoils the energy and the love of that exchange, and so, yeah, I prefer it when those things don't happen in gift giving. So those are my thoughts. And before I go, I have an announcement. We have an announcement here on the collab. You probably already heard it because Rich should have mentioned it yesterday. And also I believe there was a video that got posted on Sunday. But we are finally holding auditions for new substitute host members of the Pagan Perspective collab channel. It has been a couple years. You have probably noticed we have some empty slots. I take responsibility for us not doing this sooner because there were just a lot of things going on in a lot of our lives, a lot of life changes, a lot of job changes. Some people have had children and expanded their family. Not me. Some stuff like that has happened, but also just like some organizational stuff within the collab structure that I wanted to really get set in place before we bring on new people, because I felt like we've all been working together for so long, we kind of understand some stuff, but I want to get some things like really nailed down, written out, so that when we bring new people in, it's very clear. So I had made the executive decision not to hold auditions prior to now for the past couple of years, but we're finally ready. We're ready to hold auditions, and if you're ready to audition, it's a little bit different this year. There will be a link in the description to a document where you will read about the responsibilities and expectations of the substitute host on the Pagan Perspective collab channel. It tells you a little bit about the posting schedule, how often and when substitute hosts are expected to post, stuff like that, just some basic housekeeping, job description type stuff. And then if you read that and you decide that you're still interested in going ahead and auditioning, you think it sounds like a good fit for you, then there is a link at the bottom of the document to a form. This is also a little bit different than in the past. Instead of just doing a video, you will be answering questions in an online form, and that's where you're gonna do all of the basic, who are you, what are you about, and stuff like that. All those basic questions that are just like things that we really wanna know about potential new members. So that way you don't have to worry about spending time on all of that stuff in your audition video, so that your audition video doesn't end up being half an hour long like every video I make on YouTube. So that's not required. Please don't make videos as long as mine. Even I don't like it. Anyway, so then it will describe what you will be doing for your audition video. I really need to cut this off because I can't speak anymore. So if you would like to go ahead and audition, if you are interested in auditioning, the link to the document is down there. You read that document and then that will take you to the form if you still want to do it. So yeah, the deadline for submitting auditions is December 15th. That is a Saturday, and that is also the weekend that we will be going on holiday break here on Pagan Perspective. So this week is my last video on Pagan Perspective of 2018, because this week is a regular host week. Next week will be a subs week in the middle of the month, because then the rest of the month is off. No videos will be posted on this channel. We will all have holiday break, and we will come back to posting videos after January has begun. So yeah, please check that out in the description if you are interested in auditioning. Share it with anybody who you think you would like to see audition, or if you know that they might like to audition. You have a couple of weeks to get them in. So thanks very much. Oh, also, one last thing. Since we're on the subject of gifts, I do make and sell things in my Etsy shop. All of the jewelry I'm wearing in this video today are things that are currently available in my Etsy shop. I also make crochet hats and sell them, although these take a little bit longer. Things like this are already ready and in the shop. I have black tattoo chokers and rainbow ones. You can't even really tell that this is rainbow unless you spin it all the way around. I'm also very proud of some charms that I found recently. Boop. Oh, you can barely tell what it is. It's a little cute witch. There it is. Who would I be, Cute Witch 772, if I didn't have necklaces with little tiny cute witches? So right now they're just available on the chokers, but obviously I can do other things with them. I have this green ribbon necklace with a pentacle. There's also one with a triquetra. We have this, all kinds of stuff. So if you're looking for a gift for anyone who might be witchy, or you want a gift that's made by a witch, I have some jewelry things in my shop. I have some pendulums I just posted. One of them already sold, so go quickly. They're one of a kind, all the ones that are left, and I have 8 more designed that I just have to put together and then post. So I will be posting some more things on there in the next couple of days. So don't necessarily buy today as soon as you see this video. Give it a couple of days until I get all my stuff posted. I will post on my social media when I feel like it's up. All of it's up. Everything is there. You're free to buy things. And then all of the things that I will be posting new, other than the crochet stuff, it'll all be ready-made. So you won't have to wait for me to put it together. It'll be ready to ship. So happy holidays. I'll see you in 2019. I can't even believe how fast this year has gone. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. Until then, don't forget to be awesome. Blessed be. Let us know your thoughts about gift giving in the comments, and let me know if you take the love languages quiz what your results were. And goodbye.